Hey y'all, today I want to talk about replacing the expansion valve on a 1990 to 1993 Celica. So these expansion valves were subject to a Toyota recall, and that recall was in effect until about 4 or 5 years ago, which I didn't know. I didn't know there was a recall and Toyota would make good on replacing the expansion valve. So you can try talking to Toyota. I no longer see the recall on the Toyota recall website. I doubt that you'll be able to get anywhere with them. So with that being said, I decided to tackle this project. I was holding off on it because I knew there was difficulty in getting that air box, the AC box, out from under the dash. But I decided to go ahead and do it. So the first thing you're going to want to do, if there is freon in the system, you're going to need to evacuate it. In my case, because the expansion valve is bad, the freon leaked out, and so did some of the refrigerant oil onto the evaporator. So, having said that, no need to evacuate on my car. Go ahead and remove the two AC lines at the firewall. In order to do that, you want to remove a vacuum line right here so you can get access below. And also what I did was I moved this power steering line over and tied it off with some mechanics wire. Once I did that, I was able to get access to the two AC lines down below that. I took the smaller one off first, then I loosened this bracket right here by the power steering pump or reservoir, this bracket here, and then I was able to move this line a little bit to get clearance to get to the heavier line, to get my wrenches on that. So I disconnected those two lines, and I also removed the grommet that goes into the firewall that allows the two lines to pass into the interior compartment. So I moved that grommet out of the way also, as much as I could. Then I went inside the car, and I'm going to do that right now. And I'm going to preface this with, this is my first video on YouTube. I'm doing this because this job is a pain in the butt, and I might save somebody some trouble in the future if they want to tackle this themselves. So now I'm going to go in the car and explain what I did from the inside of the car. Okay, so I'm inside the car, and I removed the glove box first. There are two lower screws, one on this side right here, and the second one is over here, if you can see my finger. You have to remove the plastic rocker molding, and then there's a little molding that runs up the side here. You pull those out, you can get to that one. And then there's a screw at the top on each side of the glove box. So you remove those four screws, and the glove box comes out as one piece. Next, there are, bear with me here as I get into position, there are 5 nuts that you have to remove. And hopefully you can see this on my phone. 1, 2, 3, and then there are 2 at the top. 4, 5. You remove those 5 nuts. And one thing I do want to mention, after removing the 5 nuts, you're going to remove all the harnesses, right, that connect to this center piece, the center piece where the evaporator sits. To the right here is the blower motor. To the left is the heater core. So that air box where the evaporator sits just kind of slides out. You'll be able to tilt it and pull it out once you disconnect all the wires. One thing that you may get hung up on is the drain tube for the evaporator housing. So that was kind of stuck on there with time and heat. It kind of fused itself. So I had to work this piece of rubber off. And then I was able to slide the box out. Okay, now that we walked through all that, I'm going to take you over to my workbench, which is a mess. But anyway, we'll take a look at the evaporator housing. Okay, so this is actually two pieces, 1, 2, right? They sit on top of each other. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws. Yeah, there are 5 screws that need to come out. And then there are 1, 2, 3, I think 3 clips, 3 small metal clips. There's one that goes on here, one here, and then one over here. And then you'll be able to separate the 2 pieces of the evaporator housing. Okay, next. So the expansion valve sits on here, and the 2 lines connect into the expansion valve. In this case, you can see that this expansion valve is leaking. The oil has discolored the evaporator, and it leaked freon into the interior. That's why they recalled. That's a safety recall. So have a new expansion valve. Waiting for the seals to come in. There are 2 seals on the expansion valve, or on the evaporator, and then there are 2 seals on the lines. And then when you put this back in, there will be a couple seals on the exterior side of the firewall on those 2 lines. So 2, 4, 6 seals need to be replaced for this part of the job. So I'll reassemble all this and then put that evaporator housing back in, just reverse what I said on the inside. And then what I'll do is I will come over here and remove this plastic shield, and underneath of that shield is the receiver dryer. I have a new receiver dryer that I'm going to put in. You should do that because this system has been open and that receiver dryer has been contaminated with humidity and whatnot. That needs to be replaced. And I'm sure there's a couple seals on that. The next step in the process is to convert this car to R134A, and that requires a couple new valves, which I have. So I will put those on, then I'll hook up my manifold gauges and my vacuum pump the system down. I may let it sit overnight, see if it holds vacuum, and then I'll recharge the system with the 134A. My hope is that the compressor, the condenser, and the evaporator are good. I really don't have a way of knowing that until I try to charge the system and see how it reacts. But knowing that the expansion valves were bad in this car, I'm hoping that that's all I need to do. The other thing is it says to add a couple ounces of refrigerant oil when you replace the receiver dryer. So I'll do that too as part of that process. And hopefully that should be it. I hope you find this video helpful. And I apologize, this is the first time I've um, I've done a video on YouTube, a do-it-yourself video, but I felt that it was necessary because this isn't easy to figure out from the manual. And now that I've at least removed it, removed the AC box from inside the expansion box valve, evaporator housing box from inside the car, it wasn't that bad. It probably took me about 45 minutes to an hour to get that out. So it's not that bad of a job. And if you take your time and you're careful, you should be able to easily do this repair. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much.